She walked into Riverside High, oxygen hissing at her side, a tube on her cheeks. Backpack high, eyes forward. Ignore the stairs. Then, laughter. A red jacket blocked her path. A phone rose, recording. Fingers yanked the oxygen from her face. The crowd cheered. How do you fight for breath when the whole school wants to steal it? Minutes earlier, the bells split the air. Imani Bell stepped into the crush of Riverside High as the breezeways flooded with noise and elbows. She adjusted the clear oxygen line along her cheeks, slid it behind her ears, and kept walking. Her scalp, smooth from chemo, tingled in the cool air. Backpack high, eyes forward. Don't flinch. Well, look who landed from Mars. Cole Maddox lounged against the wall in his red Letterman jacket, a grin sharp enough to cut. Laughter pricked at her from every direction. Brielle Hart lifted her phone like a trophy. Episode 2 of Weird Science, Brielle sang. Roll camera. Imani took another step. Then another, past them, through them. Cole pushed off the wall and drifted in front of her. Come on, astronaut. Say hi to your fans. Move, she said, quiet and even. Move? He tilted his head. Better idea. Let's try an experiment. His hand came fast. Fingers hooked the thin tubing and yanked. Pain snapped through her nose. The world shrank. Air turned heavy and far away. She caught a glimpse of Coach Tally by the gym doors, eyes sliding from her to his clipboard as if he hadn't seen a thing. Back off. Jace Carter shouldered through the circle, fury blazing across his face. 2 linemen cut him down. Lockers rang like tin drums when he hit. Stay down, hero, one of them muttered, planting a foot between Jace's shoulders. Brielle squealed, laughing into her lens. This is going viral. Cole spritzed water from a bottle over Imani's scalp, beads running down her neck into her shirt. Maybe she'll grow hair if we water her. Bald Barbie, Brielle chanted. A few voices joined. Echoes bounced until the chant felt like a fence closing in. Imani's chest burned. The empty ache bloomed into sharp panic. She refused to feed them. She locked her gaze on a dot of paint on the floor, counted inside her head, forced the breath she could find to stretch long and thin. Boring, Cole said at last and flicked the tube into a puddle. He swaggered away with his pack, Brielle snapping one last close-up before skipping after him. The crowd dispersed in guilty little clumps. Jace scrambled up and slid to his knees beside her, hands shaking. Here, he said, voice low. I got it. I'm sorry, Mani. I tried. It's okay. Her voice came out paper thin. She connected the line and waited for the world to widen. I need to go home. The walk was a tunnel of cracked sidewalk and orange leaves. Her nose bled again. She pinched gently, breathed through her mouth, counted concrete squares to keep the tears from spilling. Darius Bell opened the door before she reached for the knob. He took everything in at once, the crooked tube, the wet shirt, the blood at her wrist. He didn't say a word, just stepped aside and let her pass. In the kitchen, the clock ticked loud enough to be a threat. Her mom, Kendra, slid a plate of mashed potatoes closer and brushed Imani's hand. You need fuel, baby, Kendra murmured. Treatments in the morning. Darius hadn't looked away. What happened to your nose? His voice was level. Quiet water over stone. Just a nosebleed. Imani poked the potatoes, sculpting soft hills. They happen, his eyes flicked to the tube. Someone pulled it. She lifted a shoulder. It's fine, his phone buzzed. He glanced and every line in his face went still. Jace sent me something. Dad, don't... She started, but he'd already tapped play. Brielle's sing-song spilled into the kitchen on tinny speakers. Cole's hand, the water, Jace slamming lockers, Coach looking away. Kendra pressed a palm over her mouth. Darius watched like a statue carved from patience. When the video ended, he set the phone down with careful precision, rose, and reached for a notepad. Names, he said. Cole Maddox, Imani whispered. Brielle Hart. The 2 linemen, Tyson Ward and Gabe Silva, Coach Tally, saw it. Darius wrote as if filing a mission report. Times, angles, witnesses, who laughed, who filmed, who pretended not to see. Darius, Kendra warned softly. Proper channels. I am, he said, pen steady. I'm gathering intel. Building a case. They're kids. They assaulted our daughter, he answered, voice calm with steel under it. They interfered with her medical equipment and filmed it for sport. Imani pushed her plate away. Can I be excused? Kendra's hand squeezed hers. Darius's eyes softened for a beat. Of course, Kendra said. Upstairs, the words on her book blurred into a gray river. A knock. The door eased open. Can I come in? Darius asked. She nodded. He sat on the edge of the bed, the mattress dipping under his weight. What happened today, he said, stops now. Dad, I've trusted the school to protect you. That was my mistake. He adjusted the tubing along her cheek with surgical gentleness. We'll handle this my way. Quiet, strategic, precise. The knot under her ribs loosened the tiniest bit. He had that look. The look he wore when a plan snapped into place. For the first time in weeks, a tiny warmth lit behind her sternum. Morning cast stripes of sun across Principal Hardy's desk. Darius stood at parade rest by the window, presence filling the office without a raised voice. Vivian Maddox, Cole's mother, paced in pearls. Officer Randall leaned on the wall, smirk flickering. Mr. Bell, Hardy said, tugging his collar, we understand you have concerns. Not concerns, Darius said. Evidence, he opened a manila folder. Photographs laid out in rows. Witness statements, timestamps, a still frame where Cole's fingers clenched Imani's oxygen line. Vivian cut in. You can't prove. Page 3, he said, tapping the photo. From your son's friend's public post. Page 4, medical trauma from pulling the cannula. Page 5, 12 statements. Kid's roughhouse, Randall offered. It's normal. Intentionally disrupting a medical device is assault, Darius replied, polite as a razor. Your own policy bans filming assaults on school grounds. Principal Hardy's face paled as he turned the pages. Given the thoroughness, he said, voice firming, immediate action is warranted. 2-week suspension for all involved. Friday's game is canceled. You can't cancel homecoming, Cole blurted. I absolutely can, Hardy said. And I am, Vivian's eyes sparked. Do you know how many boosters? Maybe think of that before filming an assault, Darius said quietly. He gathered the papers with the same neat care and turned to the door. One more thing, he added without looking back. If anyone retaliates against my daughter or Jace, if anyone so much as glances at her oxygen line the wrong way, we go straight to legal charges. Clear. Crystal, Hardy said. Vivian clamped a hand around her son's arm, dragging him out into the hall. Don't worry, she hissed, low enough to think no one could hear. I'll fix this. You'll be back on that field. Out front, sunlight pooled in the breezeway. Imani reached her locker with Jace close as a shadow. The combination clicked. The door swung open and a dozen oxygen masks tumbled out, each smeared with black paint, each a twisted, mocking face. A card fluttered last and landed on top. No air for you. Phones lifted. Laughter pecked. The hallway narrowed to a straw. Imani felt her body coil. Enough. She tore the cannula free and threw it at Cole's shoes. You want it so bad? Her voice cracked, then steadied. Here, take it. Her chest burned, but anger held her up. You think bullying a sick black girl makes you a man? She said. I'm fighting cancer. What are you fighting? Mirrors? Cole's smirk faltered. Brielle's arm lowered a fraction. The chant died. Imani pointed to her bare head. You can take this. Chemo already did. But you don't get my dignity. Jace's hand hovered with the tubing. She took it back without breaking eye contact, slid it into place, and drew a deep breath that sounded like victory. The first snow of November dusted the football field in white, but the bleachers still hummed with restless voices. Parents in padded jackets shifted, whispering about suspensions, canceled games, and the Maddox family's fury. Imani sat on the top row beside Jace, her blanket pulled close. She didn't watch the field. She watched her breath cloud, steady, in and out. Box breathing. Her anchor? Wish they'd just forget about me, she muttered, Jace shook his head. They won't. You embarrassed Cole. That's a wound he doesn't know how to hide. Below, Cole stood at the fence, jaw tight, phone glowing in his palm. His mother whispered sharply, and he shoved it in his pocket. Imani felt the weight of eyes. Dozens. Some pity, some admiration, some sharpening like knives. When the crowd thinned, she gathered her things. The walk home cut through back streets, shadows stretching long. She heard steps. Quick, deliberate, keep moving, Jace whispered. They turned the corner. 4 shapes peeled from the alley. Tyson, Gabe. 2 more players she didn't know. Well, well, Tyson sneered. If it isn't Oxygen Girl and her knight. Gabe cracked his knuckles. Coach ain't here to look away now. Jace stepped forward. Leave her alone. A fist caught him across the cheek. He staggered but didn't fall. Imani froze, heart rattling in her chest. Her tubing tugged as Tyson flicked it, testing. Wonder how long she lasts without this, he said, grinning. She slapped his hand away. Touch it again and I'll scream. Do it, he challenged. Nobody'll hear. Before the threat could bloom, a voice cut the alley. Calm. Even. Cold. Step away from my daughter. Darius Bell stood at the mouth of the street, coat collar turned up, eyes unreadable. His shadow stretched longer than all of theirs combined. Tyson laughed, but it came out thin. We're just talking. You assaulted her, Darius said, each word precise. And I warned you what would happen if you tried again. He took a step closer. None of the boys moved. Something in his stance, the iron behind stillness, pinned them. You'll walk away, he continued, and tomorrow the police will have your names. Gabe spat. You got no proof. Darius's phone lit up in his hand. A small red blink near the lens. Recording. The boys faltered. Then one by one they backed off. Tyson muttered under his breath but didn't meet Darius's eyes. They melted into the dark. Jace wiped blood from his lip. Mr. Bell, you did good, Darius said quietly. Then he rested a hand on Imani's shoulder, guiding her toward home. Inside, the lights were warm, dinner on the stove. Kendra looked up, alarmed at the scrape on Jace's face and the tremor in Imani's hands. They're escalating, Darius said simply. We're going to shut this down. How? Imani whispered. He looked at her, steady and unflinching. We build stronger walls. And we let the truth burn its way out. For the first time, Imani didn't feel like the weak link in her own story. She felt like the center of a plan. Her father's plan. And somewhere deep, under fear and ache, a seed of defiance pushed through. The war wasn't over. It was only changing shape. The morning air smelled of wet pavement and old chalk dust. Imani moved slowly through the school doors, her tubing snug, her head bare beneath a knitted beanie her mom had made. Every step felt like walking into a storm. Jace stuck close, his bruise fading into yellow on his cheek. We don't have to be here, he muttered. I do, she said, though her stomach was tight. If I hide, they win. Whispers stirred around them like wind. Some kids avoided her eyes. Others stared too long. She caught the red light of a phone camera already recording. At her locker, a folded note slid free. The words scrawled in thick black marker. Gasp while you can. Jace cursed under his breath. He ripped it up and stuffed it into his pocket. They won't stop. Maybe not, Imani said, steadying herself with a slow inhale. But neither will I. In the teacher's lounge, Mr. Alvarez watched the girl pass the window with her chin high. His jaw tightened. He'd seen too many discipline meetings buried in polite excuses. When he heard footsteps, he looked up. Darius Bell stood there, calm as ever, a file under his arm. Mr. Alvarez, Darius said, thank you for your message. Alvarez nodded. The administration will drag its feet. They're afraid of the Maddox family. But I won't let this rot keep spreading. Darius placed the file on the table. I've compiled footage, statements, patterns of neglect. I need allies inside. You've got one. For the first time in weeks, Darius allowed the faintest smile. By Friday, a storm brewed bigger than any game. Parents filled the auditorium, voices colliding in sharp bursts. On stage, Principal Hardy cleared his throat, shuffling papers he couldn't control. "Discipline actions have been taken," he began. "The school, 2 weeks isn't justice." A mother shouted, "Our sons don't deserve to miss homecoming." Another barked. Vivian Maddox rose slowly, pearls gleaming. "This vendetta is ruining our community. One girl's sob story doesn't outweigh decades of tradition." Gasps rippled. From the back, Darius stood. His presence hushed the room without a raised hand. "My daughter's life," he said evenly, "is not a sob story. It is a fact. A fact documented. A fact assaulted. A fact ignored by those who profit from silence." He walked down the aisle, each step deliberate, a soldier's cadence softened by years but never erased. "This isn't about tradition. This is about safety, about decency. And if the school won't act, the law will." A murmur rolled through the crowd. Some faces hardened with defiance. Others cracked with shame. Vivian's lips thinned. "You think you can scare us with speeches?" "No," Darius said, laying his file on the stage. "With proof." Hardy opened it. Photos, reports, screenshots. He blanched. That night, Imani sat at her window, knees hugged to her chest. Outside, the streetlight hummed. She thought of the painted masks in her locker, the fists in the alley, the notes. Then she thought of her father standing in that auditorium, unshaken, immovable. She thought of Jace at her side, stubborn in his loyalty. She thought of Mr. Alvarez, slipping her a quiet nod in the hall. For the first time, she believed maybe she wasn't walking alone. The battle was growing louder, but so was her voice. She whispered the words into the glass. Oh, a promise to herself. No more hiding. The next week unfolded like the tightening of a drum. Students buzzed with gossip, some whispering sympathy, others echoing Cole's venom. Teachers tiptoed, glancing at Darius when he walked Imani into school each morning. His silence was a shield, his eyes a warning. Imani felt every stare. But she also noticed the shifts. A few kids held doors open. A girl from math class slipped a kind note into her desk. "Stay strong." Jace carried her books without asking. Little cracks in the wall of cruelty. On Wednesday, Coach Tally cornered her by the gym. His voice was low, but his face was pale. "You should know," he muttered. "Vivian's pushing harder than ever. She wants Hardy replaced. She's calling in favors." Imani swallowed. "So? She can't erase what happened." "She can try," he said, and hurried away before anyone saw them talking. The weight pressed heavy. That night at dinner, she pushed food around her plate. "They'll bury it," she whispered. "They'll bury me," Darius set his fork down. His voice was calm as always. "No, not this time." Kendra reached across and held Imani's hand. "We fight with truth. That's stronger than their lies." Friday came with gray skies and a chill wind. Imani opened her locker and froze. Another note lay waiting, but this one was different. "Meet at the old gym tonight, alone, or we finish what we started." Her stomach twisted. She showed Jace. "It's a trap," he said immediately. "I know," she said. "Then don't go." She shook her head. "If I don't, they'll just keep coming. They'll think I'm scared." "You are scared," he said, desperate. She took a breath, steadying herself like her father had taught her. "Yes, but I won't run." That night, the old gym smelled of dust and rusted iron. The door creaked as she stepped inside, the beam of her phone light cutting through shadows. Footsteps scraped. Then they emerged. Cole, Brielle, Tyson, Gabe, phones ready. "Smirks sharp. Brave little astronaut," Cole drawled. "Came all by yourself." Her chest tightened, but her voice didn't shake. "What do you want?" "Simple," Brielle said, filming already. "Kneel, beg, we'll post it. You'll be the punchline forever." Imani felt the oxygen hissing softly, the fragile thread of breath that kept her steady. She thought of her father's voice, of her mother's touch, of Jace's fierce loyalty. "No," she said. The word rang louder than she expected. Cole's grin slipped. "Wrong answer." He lunged, and the gym doors slammed open. Floodlights cut through the dark. Officer Randall, Principal Hardy, Mr. Alvarez, and behind them, Darius Bell, his face carved from stone. "Enough," Darius said, his voice like thunder contained. Phones dropped. Faces blanched. The trap had snapped shut, only not on Imani. Hardy's voice shook with fury. "You're all expelled." "Effective immediately." Randall stepped forward, cuffs ready. Imani's breath came fast, her chest aching. But beneath the panic, something else flared. Relief. Power. For the first time, the hunters looked like prey. The hallways of Riverside High were silent on Monday morning. Too silent. The seats where Cole and his crew once sprawled were empty, their lockers cleaned out, their laughter gone. Imani walked slowly, her steps echoing. Whispers still followed her, but they were softer now, edged with something new, not mockery, not cruelty, respect, maybe even awe. Jace nudged her shoulder. "You did it," he said. She shook her head. "We did it." In Principal Hardy's office, papers rustled as he signed the expulsion orders. Darius stood nearby, arms crossed. "You forced my hand, Mr. Bell," Hardy admitted. "I should have acted sooner." "You had a duty," Darius said simply. "Remember it," Hardy nodded, shame flickering in his eyes. "From now on, this school protects its most vulnerable, starting with your daughter." At home that evening, the Bell family sat around the kitchen table. The house smelled of roasted chicken and fresh cornbread. Imani picked at her food, her hands trembling, not from fear this time, but from release. "You're safe now," Kendra whispered, stroking her daughter's back. Imani shook her head. "Safe doesn't mean healed." She looked up, eyes shining. "But I'm not broken. Not anymore." Darius's face softened. "You stood taller than any soldier I've ever known." She leaned into him, tears hot on her cheeks. "I was so scared, Dad." "I know," he said, pulling her close. "Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's standing anyway." The next day, Mr. Alvarez asked Imani to stay after class. "I want you to help me start something," he said. "A safe space. A voice for students who feel invisible. We'll call it the Resilience Project." Her heart leapt. "You want me to lead it?" "I can't think of anyone stronger." Weeks later, the auditorium buzzed again, but this time for a different reason. Students filled the seats as Imani stepped onto the stage. The spotlight warmed her face. She took a breath, her oxygen hissing softly in the microphone. "I'm not here to talk about being sick," she said. "I'm here to talk about being seen, about standing up, about breathing, no matter who tries to take that from you." The crowd erupted in applause. Jace whooped from the front row. Darius and Kendra held hands, pride shining in their eyes. Imani smiled, small but fierce. She was no longer just the girl with the cannula. She was the voice that turned pain into power, silence into fire, fear into strength. And she wasn't done, not by a long shot.